The story of ancient Egypt. The birth of a civilization. Introduction. Imagine a world without skyscrapers, without electricity, without modern technology. A time when humanity was still searching for its place on earth. Then, along the banks of a mighty river, something extraordinary happened. More than 5,000 years ago, a civilization emerged that would astonish the world. It built monuments so massive that they still stand today. It developed writing, mathematics, medicine, and engineering long before many other civilizations even existed. This was ancient Egypt, a land ruled by god-kings known as pharaohs. A kingdom where towering pyramids reached toward the heavens, temples honored powerful gods, and mysterious rituals prepared the dead for eternal life. For over 3,000 years, Egypt remained one of the greatest civilizations in human history. But how did it all begin? Who were the people who transformed a harsh desert into one of the world's richest kingdoms? And what secrets still lie buried beneath the sands of Egypt? Today, we travel back in time to uncover the incredible story of ancient Egypt. Chapter 1. Before the Pharaohs. Long before pyramids pierced the sky, Egypt looked very different. Thousands of years ago, most of North Africa was greener than it is today. Vast grasslands stretched across the landscape. Rivers flowed where deserts now exist. Elephants, giraffes, antelope, and lions roamed freely. Small groups of hunter-gatherers lived peacefully among these fertile lands. They hunted wild animals, gathered fruits, and followed seasonal migrations. But nature never stays the same. Over thousands of years, Earth's climate slowly changed. Rainfall became less frequent. Lakes began to disappear. Grasslands slowly transformed into endless desert. As the Sahara expanded, people faced an impossible choice: stay and perish, or move. Most chose to migrate toward one place that never stopped giving life: the Nile River. Chapter 2. The Gift of the Nile. The Nile is unlike any other river on earth. Stretching more than 6,600 kilometers, it flows north through the heart of Africa, before emptying into the Mediterranean Sea. Every summer, heavy rains far to the south cause the river to overflow its banks. To most civilizations, floods meant destruction. But to the people living beside the Nile, floods meant survival. As the waters retreated, they left behind dark, rich soil called silt. This fertile earth allowed farmers to grow wheat, barley, vegetables, dates, figs, onions, and flax. Year after year, the floods repeated. Reliable, predictable, life-giving. The ancient Greek historian Herodotus would later describe Egypt with a phrase still remembered today: Egypt is the gift of the Nile. Without the Nile, ancient Egypt could never have existed. Chapter 3. The First Villages. Around 6000 BC, farming communities began appearing along the riverbanks. Families built homes using mud bricks dried beneath the hot Egyptian sun. They raised cattle, sheep, and goats. They crafted pottery, wove baskets, and learned to store grain for future harvests. As villages grew larger, people specialized in different jobs. Some became fishermen, others became craftsmen. Some traded precious stones. Others created beautiful jewelry from gold and turquoise. Trade expanded rapidly. Boats carried goods north and south along the Nile, connecting distant communities. Slowly, simple villages transformed into thriving towns. With prosperity came competition. Different regions developed their own leaders. Some leaders became stronger than others. Eventually, Egypt was divided into two powerful kingdoms: Upper Egypt in the south, Lower Egypt in the north. Both wanted complete control of the Nile. Conflict became inevitable. Chapter 4. The Unification of Egypt. Around 3100 BC, a powerful ruler emerged from Upper Egypt. His name was Narmer. Some historians also know him as Menes. Narmer believed Egypt could only become truly powerful if the two kingdoms united under one ruler. He launched military campaigns against Lower Egypt. Battle after battle, His forces advanced. Eventually, Narmer achieved victory. For the first time in history, Upper and Lower Egypt became one kingdom. This moment changed history forever. Narmer adopted a unique crown combining the white crown of Upper Egypt with the red crown of Lower Egypt. It symbolized unity. It symbolized power. It symbolized the birth of ancient Egypt. To celebrate his victory, Narmer established a new capital near the meeting point of the two kingdoms. From there, future pharaohs would rule one of history's greatest civilizations. Chapter 5. The First Pharaoh. Narmer was more than a king. He became something far greater. He became Pharaoh. The Egyptians believed their ruler was chosen by the gods. Some even believed the pharaoh was a living god on earth. His duty extended far beyond politics. He maintained justice, protected the people, led the army, built temples, performed sacred religious ceremonies. Most importantly, he preserved Ma'at. Ma'at represented truth, balance, order, harmony. The Egyptians believed that without Ma'at, the world would fall into chaos. Pharaoh existed to keep the universe itself in balance. This belief made the ruler almost untouchable. His commands became law. His words carried divine authority. And for thousands of years, generations of Egyptians accepted this sacred relationship between king and gods. Chapter 6. A kingdom begins to grow. Once Egypt was united, stability allowed civilization to flourish. Farmers produced more food than ever before. Population increased rapidly. Large cities emerged. Trade expanded beyond Egypt's borders. Gold arrived from Nubia. Cedar wood came from Lebanon. Incense traveled from distant lands. Copper, silver, ivory, and precious gemstones flowed into Egypt through expanding trade routes. Wealth transformed the kingdom. Craftsmen created magnificent statues. Artists decorated temples with colorful paintings. Builders experimented with stone architecture. Meanwhile, priests became increasingly influential. Religion touched every part of Egyptian life. People prayed before planting crops, before traveling, before hunting, even before eating. The gods were believed to control everything. Rain, harvest, health, death, victory. Every success belonged to the gods. Every disaster carried divine meaning. Chapter 7. The Gods of Egypt. Ancient Egypt was home to hundreds of gods and goddesses. Each represented different forces of nature. Ra ruled the sun. Osiris ruled the afterlife. Isis represented motherhood and magic. Horus protected kingship. Anubis guided souls after death. Thoth gave humanity wisdom and writing. Every city honored different gods. Massive temples became centers of worship. Inside these temples, priests performed daily rituals. Statues of gods were washed, fed, dressed, perfumed. To Egyptians, these statues were not symbols. They believed the gods truly lived within them. Religion was not simply belief. Chapter 8. The Dream of Eternity. For the ancient Egyptians, death was not the end of life, it was the beginning of another journey. They believed that after death, every person entered an eternal world where they would continue living forever. But only if their body remained preserved and their soul could recognize it. This belief shaped every aspect of Egyptian civilization. While ordinary people were buried in simple graves, the pharaohs demanded something far greater. They believed they would become gods after death. Their tombs had to be magnificent. Their treasures had to last forever. And so began one of the greatest building projects in human history. Chapter 9. The First Pyramid. Around 2670 BC, Pharaoh Djoser wanted a tomb unlike any before it. He chose a brilliant architect named Imhotep. Instead of building a traditional mud brick tomb, Imhotep had a revolutionary idea. He stacked several stone mastabas, flat-roofed tombs, on top of one another. The result became the world's first pyramid, the Step Pyramid of Saqqara. Standing over 60 meters high, it was the tallest structure humanity had ever built. For the first time, massive buildings were constructed entirely from stone. Imhotep's innovation changed architecture forever. His genius was so respected that later generations worshipped him as a god of wisdom and medicine. The Step Pyramid proved one thing: the impossible could become reality. Chapter 10: The Great Pyramid Builders. A few generations later, Pharaoh Khufu dreamed even bigger. He wanted a monument that would outlive time itself. On the Giza Plateau, thousands of workers began an enormous task. Stone blocks weighing 2 to 15 tons were cut from nearby quarries. Some granite blocks, weighing more than 70 tons, were transported from hundreds of kilometers away. Historians estimate that nearly 2.3 million stone blocks were used to build the Great Pyramid. Every block had to fit with astonishing precision. Even today, many joints between stones are so tight that a knife blade cannot easily slide between them. For more than 20 years, tens of thousands of skilled workers, engineers, masons, and laborers worked tirelessly. Contrary to popular myths, most historians believe the pyramids were built by paid workers, not enslaved people. These workers lived in organized villages. They received food, medical care, and wages. Building the Great Pyramid became a national project. When completed around 2560 BC, it stood nearly 146 meters tall. For almost 4,000 years, it remained the tallest man-made structure on Earth. Even modern engineers continue to admire its precision. How exactly did the Egyptians build the pyramids? The truth remains one of history's greatest mysteries. Some researchers believe long ramps were used. Others suggest spiral ramps surrounding the pyramid. Another theory proposes internal passageways hidden within the structure. Without modern cranes, engines, or steel tools, ancient workers achieved something extraordinary. Using simple copper tools, wooden sledges, ropes, and incredible teamwork, they created monuments that still stand after 45 centuries. Every year, archaeologists discover new evidence, but many secrets remain buried beneath the sands of Egypt. While kings built pyramids, ordinary Egyptians focused on daily life. Most families lived in small mud brick homes. Their days revolved around the rhythm of the Nile. Men worked in fields growing wheat and barley. Women baked bread, brewed beer, prepared meals, and cared for children. Children helped their parents from an early age. Some learned trades from skilled craftsmen. Others attended schools to become scribes. Bread and beer formed the foundation of the Egyptian diet. Fish from the Nile provided protein. Dates, onions, figs, and vegetables completed most meals. Although life could be difficult, Egypt's fertile land often protected its people from widespread famine.